It has become evident that the Gen Z in Kenya are a force to be reckoned with. Over the last few weeks, they have taken to the streets to demand better governance in the country, and their determination has not gone unnoticed. The Kenyan government has responded to their calls for change, evident in their dropping of the finance bill following Gen Z protests, and the summoning of President William Ruto to a conference call on X Space. President Ruto has been attentive to the Gen Z demands, prompting him to dismiss his entire cabinet in response to the youth-led demonstrations over a finance bill that resulted in the tragic deaths of at least 41 people. Despite these significant actions, it appears that the Gen Z cohort remains unsatiated and is now pushing for further reforms. To gain a deeper understanding of the expectations of the Kenyan Generation Z from the government, I kindly request that you watch this video.
What the political class does not understand clearly is when we say Ruto must go, it includes all facets. It is his entire government, and that includes the alleged opposition. And once this is clear, we do not depend on Parliament to make these right decisions. And I say this because Parliament time without number has proven to be inefficient when it comes to representing us. It has gotten to this point where now they have this sudden awakening as a collective after we have gone to the streets, after we have lost lives. So we have realized that we, the people of Kenya, can orchestrate these changes. From where I sit and from where a lot of the youth sit, this parliament is unconstitutional. It is not an impossibility that we could just decide to overhaul this whole thing and do this thing right. Because we cannot have a minority claiming that they are making the right decisions and try to make it look like it's a majority problem. What they should have done is come to us. The way they form all these pressers when they have political disagreements, they should have blown the whistle at that particular point. That is why we are saying we do not have faith in the political class. The thing which people do not understand, and the thing that pains me the most, is the fact that this is a genocide problem. And forgive me for using such a strong word, but corruption is tantamount to genocide. Because when you loot funds that are supposed to take to be for farmers or for the education of a child or for Linda Mama, you are effectively ensuring that there's a child who will not make it into life. There's a child who will lose to hunger. There's a youth who will be lost to theft. The political class needs to stop politicking and start doing representation, because it does not matter if it is anything to do with good governance clips, or as an influencer, as a content creator, we do that for free. There's nothing special about saying that we've seen this person is incompetent, because as the general populace, we know it is incompetent. As a country that is heavily dependent on our agrarian sector, I do not understand how, one, we cannot share seeds. Because remember, as Africans, we are very heavily united, and it is about umoja na ubuntu. We cannot have fake fertilizer scandals and all these people go scot-free. So the political class needs to, this is their wake-up call. From where we sit, we have said, as unemployed Gen Zs, we have decided to make this our form of meaningful and gainful employment, because we've realized for far too long, these people have sat, looted the public coffers, moved around in big cars, having airtime allowances that are greater than the basic salary of secondary school teachers, spewing all sorts of vitriol against us, refusing to post interns. IDs cost however much they cost. Part of the things they should be agitating for is the IDs to be restored to, we need to be paying 100 shillings for getting these IDs. Certificates of good conduct need to be available. This NGCDF thing that people are consistently giving to constituencies, remove that burden, because that's what they think they're doing us a favor by giving us a check of 10,000 shillings for school fees. Return it to national government. The amount of money they loot, you can make education free. We do not need thought leaders, we do not need subcommittees for this to run efficiently. What we are asking is for this government to run efficiently. And if they continue politicking, we will continue to agitate until all these things are addressed.
Yeah, but Kasmal, have you envisioned what Ruto must go looks like?
Yes.
So what is that?
When we say Ruto must go and we're saying that we are overhauling an entire government, I do not know why the older generation is threatened. Because if we go into another election, it is going to be cheaper than the amount of money we lose in 1 year in corruption. It is going to be cheaper than the 1 trillion in public debt that has not surfaced in our books. It is going to be cheaper than the amount of money that we've lost in unconstitutional services. It is very easily fundable. We are not devoid of good leaders in the country.
But our constitution says this is done in 5-year cycles. Like
yes.
The next one is in 2027.
Yes.
And if you say now we need to go into election as we speak,
right,
our IEBC has not been constituted.
It will be.
But
it will be constituted. And that's why we are saying we are not in a hurry. We do not want this to be changed next week. We have the time. But what we are saying is we will not let them off easily. The thing which people are trying to make it look like is as if we're calling for anarchy. You'll realize that we are very clear in our demands. We are very clear in our policies. And the concessions that the political class are making, those are concessions that are trying to just put salve on a much deeper wound. When this thing, there will be no destabilization. We are not pushing for anarchy or destabilization of the country. So even if these things are done in 5-year cycles, we have said we cannot wait for another 5-year cycle losing 600 billion in a year. It is not normal. Abnormal behavior during abnormal times is normal behavior. So if we have to go into an election for the political class to arise and awaken from their slumber, then so be it. We will go into another election cycle. The president is not elected to listen to us. He is elected to lead a functional government, which he has proven that he is not interested in running. Because, be it as it may that he has dissolved his cabinet, there are several cases on graft and other gross violations of the Constitution that the people in the dissolved positions are getting away with.
Other demands from the Kenyan Gen Z is that the ER demanding the immediate resignation of Meg Whitman, the United States ambassador to Kenya. This call to action comes in response to alarming details that have recently surfaced. To gain a better understanding of this situation, I strongly urge you to watch a video from Dr. Mumbi.
Kenyans are now calling for the immediate recall and resignation and return to the divided states of Meg Whitman. Fingers are being pointed at her as the reason why Kenya is in this financial mess to begin with. Because she's even the one who actually made Biden take such a risky risk, that doesn't even make sense, on Nabi family. She's the reason that the IMF and the World Bank even came back to Kenya. And there's a show that I released, Jana, from this guy, this analyst, who was saying that whenever the IMF comes into a country, they're not giving you a loan so you can pay back with a clean heart. They're giving you a loan. They never want that money back because they're the front for these multinational corporations. And we already know the world is being run by a multinational corporation. So he was saying we should check the Coca-Colas and the HPs of this world. Well, guess what? Maggie Dearest used to actually be like, I think the head of Hewlett Packard, and she's a dollar billionaire. So you think her being in Kenya was really about us? Or was it to further the agenda of the Mzungus in Kenya? So guys are just saying, without her, we'd not be in these problems. We'd not be in this crazy debt burden. And don't forget, last year, Mandamano, she was heavily interfering. And there's even a clip that I'll share at the end of this, where Baba, and I know he's not very popular right now, where Baba was saying, yo, stay out of Kenya. Kenya is not a US colony. Kenya is not part of the United States. We're not a US company. So keep your fingers, dirty hands off. And now Kenyans are like, yo, she needs to go. I think she was already airlifted out. I don't know if she ever came back. And the funny thing is, after all this, ever since the cabinet was fired, now all of a sudden, the divided states is issuing advisories to, I don't know if it was to their citizens or to the general or to the world or whatever, about Gen Z demonstrations in Kenya. Maggie's the problem. She needs to go. And you know what, family? I knew the rubber was hitting the road when she stood in the middle of the red carpet and Nabi held her umbrella. I'll add that to the end of this video as well. I think she got carried away, yo. I think she got carried away. She was like, oh my God, I think neo-colonialism just got to her head. But yo, it's time for her to get recalled.
In any case, we value your feedback. Please subscribe, like, and share. Feel free to provide your thoughts in the comments section below.